Welcome to the REKAP Lunch Hour with Guff, me, Ryan McGuffey, here on this beautiful, beautiful Thursday, coming to you from down south, outside the Gulf. I'm jacked up today because my guy, Pat Boyle, is going to be on the show. A lot of you guys have been asking for Hawks content for quite some time, and my guy, Pat Boyle, is standing by here. He's going to answer your questions. He's got a lot of thoughts. I got questions for him. I'm glad that we actually had to punt on this a little bit and get closer to the draft because the Hawks made news yesterday by signing Ryan Donato to an extension. We know about the head coach. A lot of you guys want to know how close or how far away are the Hawks from being the next Florida Panthers. I'd say pump the brakes on talking about back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. A lot of the chat is full of Pat Boyle questions. I see him in the room as well. It's all brought. Let's knock out some of the paid partnerships, which is why we're here. Obviously, got the aviators for later in the bet of the day. It's all brought to you by Hooters, originalhooters.com. Visit one of the 11 Chicagoland locations nearest you. And of course, we know about the NASCAR street race happening in Chicago. It's one of the best summer events in this city, July 5th and 6th in Grant Park. We gave away tickets here on the show. Yesterday, we got a boatload more as we lead up to the race, July 5th and 6th, the Xfinity race on Saturday, the NASCAR Cup race on Sunday, Zach Brown Band playing in Grant Park on Saturday. Our tickets got you covered for all of it. So keep tuning right here to the REKAP Lunch Hour, the REKAP Rush Hour, and then, of course, Katie's got you covered all over the social platforms. But let's go to why we're here today. Let's bring in my guy, my buddy. Known him a long-ass time, man. I was thinking about some of our memories over the course of the last 20-plus years. I remember some of the things that we probably can't even talk about. What's up, my guy, Pat Boyle?
Guff, what's going on? Thanks for having me on the lunch hour. Nice timing with both the Cubs and the White Sox games getting scrubbed last night.
I mean, sometimes, it's better to be lucky than good, right? I mean, we've talked about that for
We haven't had a lot of luck in this town sports-wise, so we'll take it when we can get it.
Of course, for those who don't know, Pat Boyle, the great host of Blackhawks Countdown Live and their post-game show on CHSN, which now is on the Xfinity platform. CHSN.
How about that? People could see us. What a novel idea.
82 games, and people didn't know where you were. But it's good to have you back.
It's like the year that never happened, although it did.
It's good to have you back, Pat. All right, so let's get to it before we open it up to to some of the peanut gallery. And I say that respectfully because I do love these people who are here every single day and part of the REKAP Lunch Hour fam. I mentioned the Florida Panthers right before you came on. Did you ever see a situation before we talk about the Hawks that Seth Jones was going to be handed a Stanley Cup and parading himself around, hoisting that thing above his head?
I don't think the biggest Seth Jones fan when he was here in Chicago thought that would happen. I knew he was going to a good team, obviously, but I never thought Seth would play as well as he did with Florida. It kind of speaks to what a team game hockey truly is. On a rebuilding team here in Chicago, Seth played number one D minutes. He was in all situations, and he was on a bad team, let's face it. And his play reflected that on the ice for a ton of goals against. Florida, he's in the second pair. Ekblad is in the top pair, and he takes the hard minutes with Forsling. So he didn't get all the top line assignments that he did here in Chicago, and he flourished in that role. But you got to give Seth Jones credit. He picked up a new D-zone coverage a month before the end of the regular season. He fit in seamlessly. He produced 4 goals, 5 assists in 11 playoff games. In the end, Guff, I think it was a good trade for the Hawks. His timeline did not match up with the Blackhawks. Still had 5-6 years remaining on his deal. You get Spencer Knight, a goalie for the future in his 20s, and a first-round pick. This looks to be a win-win, not only for Florida, but I think for the Hawks as well.
Yeah, not to bring like other teams into this, but that timelines are everything in sports, especially when teams are in rebuilds. And in this town, we've had too many of them, and we're still going through them. I mean, you look at I think about Garrett Crochet. Timeline didn't match in any scenario with the White Sox. If they weren't going to give him the extension, they had to trade him. They did so. Right now on the surface, it hurts. Of course, the guy, Seth Jones, is walking around with the Stanley Cup. You thought as a Blackhawks fan that might be here. Obviously, it didn't work out. Same with Garrett Crochet. The White Sox look like they have 4 guys, so we'll see what happens. Before I open it up, I mean, I'm looking here. The thing is, the chat's full of questions for you, Pat. I'll ask you one more to kind of set the tone, and then if you're cool with it, I'll open it up to fans, because there's a lot of people on here that have been requesting your presence on this show, and I'm glad it worked out. So yesterday I mentioned Donato was signed to a 4-year extension. How did the timing of that work out? Is this the right move? Why was it the right move?
Yeah, so 4-year deal, $4 million per. He doubles his salary. I'm not surprised at all. Hawks love Ryan Donato. He's a coach's son. He was originally offered a 3-year, $4 million deal per year. He gets the extra year. He's 29, coming off a career season, 31 goals, 31 assists. There's going to be a regression to the mean. He has a shooting percentage last year of 17%. His career is around 11. So, I don't see him eclipsing the 30-goal plateau again, but he did improve his skating in the offseason. That's something Connor Bedard is working on right now as we speak in Vancouver. And he's just a great player to have around influence-wise. If someone like Connor Bedard can see a journeyman, so to speak, forward like Ryan Donato, improve his skating and go from and double his career output, I think that is a blueprint for the rest of the team to follow. So not surprised at all. And again, with the cap going up the way it is over the next 3 years and him being 33 at the end in the last year of his deal, I don't see this being a problem at all.
All right, let's get to the questions because there's a ton of them. Eric says, got a couple of questions. I know it's early to say, but do you think the Blackhawks can be a playoff team this upcoming season? And secondly, what do you think of the Donato extension? We just covered the Donato extension. So, Pat, your thoughts about the Hawks contending for maybe a wild card spot next year?
Yeah, I honestly, unfortunately, don't see it happening. You look at where they are in the standings. You look at the division they're in, first of all, Guff, Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg, Minnesota. They're all really good teams. They're all teams that were in the mix to be in the Western Conference Finals, in Dallas's case, and all knocking on the door, all in good situations with their roster. So even if the Hawks had a 20-point jump in the standings, which would be significant, would be one of the biggest jumps they've had in franchise history, they'd still be about 10 points or so out of the wild card spot. So to answer the question, I don't see the playoffs in their future next year. I do see it the following season.
All right, Phil has a ton of questions in here. Phil, I'm going to get to you right now, and then we're going to bounce around to make sure we try to hit some of everybody, and we'll come back to you. But kind of as a nice background or nice follow-up to what we just talked about, do you see the Hawks being big players, and that's in caps, big players in free agency? By the way, Pat, I called this guy the real Phil Simms. He's the real
Phil Simms.
Yes.
Look, it's not a deep free agent class, but there's some great names on the list. And at the top of the charts is Mitch Marner, 28-year-old coming off a 100-point season. And Guff, if you look at his last 4 years in Toronto, he was like right around 99, 98, 87 in 85 games. I mean, he's a point-per-game player for sure. He is a 100-point player that plays at both ends of the ice. The 200-foot game, plays in all situations, your penalty kill, your power play. He was Toronto's best player last year in the regular season. And for some reason, he's the poster child for that franchise's futility in winning, which I don't understand. I mean, I get that Austin Matthews is under contract, Willie Nylander is under contract, and maybe Marner is the odd man out. But he had 13 points in 13 playoff games for the Leafs. They took the Stanley Cup champs to a Game 7. Yeah, he had a couple giveaways that led to Florida goals, but to me, he would be the perfect complement, Guff, to Connor Bedard. You want to see if Bedard is that generational player? You go get yourself a Mitch Marner and put him on the wing, and you'll see what a 100-point producer does with the young Connor Bedard. They're going to have to overpay if they want to be in that sweepstakes. They would have to have, the bad team tax somewhere in the $13 to $14 million a year range. I really, truly think it's a long shot, but I can make a case that getting a top 15 player in the league at age 28 who puts up 100 points a year is worth every penny. And I've even heard he's willing to take a bridge deal. If that is the case, it also gives you some security that he won't hurt your salary cap structure long term.
Yeah, I had some follow-ups there, but I'm going to let the fans get to it because I know I want to ask about Connor Bedard, and there's some Connor Bedard stuff. Pablo, thanks for the show. We'll sneak a couple of these. And Kyle's one of our diehard resident Blackhawks guys. He's been doing mock drafts for us, Pat, for the last 2+ months. So he's going to get to we'll get to his questions here in a minute. Kyle, happy to make it happen for you. Josh, let's get to the question about the coaching situation. Some people have asked about Jeff Blashill being a good fit here. Do you think he's someone that can continue the development of Connor Bedard? I will answer that with, I would hope so, because otherwise I'm not sure why he'd be here.
Yeah, originally, Guff, I was sort of underwhelmed by the pick, and I was basically referring to the 7 years that he had in Detroit. Then I talked to people in the know that coached with him, that were players on his team in Detroit, that first of all, the fact that he lasted 7 years with a really good franchise with 2 different general managers, that tells me he was doing something right. Yep. He came on really got his start as Mike Babcock's assistant. They loved him so much, they put him in their AHL affiliate in Grand Rapids. He was coach of the year, took the team to the Calder Cup finals, and he was this budding superstar to replace Mike Babcock. So I think when he got the job at 41 in Detroit, I think he had this, he's replacing a legend who had a very old school approach to coaching in the National Hockey League. And I still think he was trying to figure his way out and not be Mike Babcock 2.0 and become his own self. First year, it's the Datsuk's, the Zetterbergs, the tail end of their careers. Then they shift gears into a rebuild. And their rebuild has not gone as well as the Blackhawks. They got nothing higher than a number 3 or number 4 overall pick. They never got that number 1, number 2 pick in a draft. And we see the Stanley Cup champions, how time and again, top 5 prospects that are taken in the draft end up on cup-winning teams down the road, excluding, of course, the Oilers for a little bit here. But nonetheless, Blashill spent 7 years in Detroit. He then goes to John Cooper, who I will say is probably in my top 3 as far as coaches in the National Hockey League. He coaches, great players on a high-end team there, gets to pick and choose some of the things and the traits that he learns from a John Cooper. And then 10 years after he gets his first bite of the apple in Detroit, he comes here to Chicago. I think I look at his pedigree. There's a lot I like. I love the staff that he's assembled. I love Michael Pekka as a player. I love the work ethic that he's going to instill with the forwards. Anders Sorensen, all the players on the way out in their exit interviews were saying, this guy was really good when it came to development behind the scenes. Maybe he didn't have the cachet to win over the room as far as how he communicates to the entire team or to the fan base or to the press corps. But one-on-one or in groups, he was great. They bring him back because he has a past with Blashill. So what looked originally like, really, is that the best they could do? Honestly, with the candidates out there, yeah, I think it was. After Mike Sullivan went away, after Cooper decided he was going to stay in Tampa, I think Blashill was the best candidate at that time, and that was before Pete DeBoer was let go in Dallas.
Certainly love the fact that they got a guy that has head coaching experience. That to me is always like a sign that.
Well, look at their last few, right? You look at Colleton took over from Quenneville. That didn't work out. Derek King took over for Colleton. Then you had Luke Richardson first time,
no. I've done first time everything I'm mostly done with. And especially when you got a guy like Connor Bedard on your roster, it's time to at some point. And that's what there's an impatience here with a lot of fans. And I get it, because it's like, okay, and it's year 3 now, like how much more can we do it? The talent's there. Let's see what happens next. Kyle, appreciate you commenting. I'm glad. Thanks for watching and being a fan over the years. Comment away, man. I'm here every day, 12:30. This show's for you guys. Let's get to Swayze. A lot of questions about the draft a week from tomorrow, picking number 3. There's a lot of questions here in the chat about who the Hawks should take, and Swayze was first in line. So, Pat, what moves do you think the Hawks will put? What should the Hawks do with the draft? I'm thinking they should take Martone, a big skilled wing, to pair with Connor at the top line. What about you?
Okay, I like your idea there with Porter Martone, because he's a big forward, and they lack that in their system. He's 6'3", 208. Some compare him to the Tkachuk brothers. I think that might be a little lofty, but he does have some issues skating. It's a give and take, right? I mean, if his skill set is big, plays along the wall, can win battles for you, not afraid to drop the gloves from time to time, there's a trade-off usually, and maybe he's not going to be the fleetest of foot. That being said, when you look at this draft, it's not chock full of elite talent. All right, there's a consensus number 1, the defenseman Matthew Schaefer. Some say Cale Makar light. He's going to go number 1 to the Islanders. Then there's kind of this drop off after Michael Misa is in that group as well. He is a top tier forward who had ridiculous numbers in the OHL. He'll go number 2 to San Jose. The draft begins at 3. I think it's down to 2 players for the Blackhawks. It's down to a Swedish center, Anton Frandell, who's 6 foot, 200 pounds. It's a thicker frame. He's responsible at both ends of the ice, has a big time shot, and he models his game after Sasha Barkov of the Panthers. We know how that's worked out for them. So I think it's between Anton Frandell and the other player they're considering, another center, Caleb Denoyer. He's 6'2", 178, similar frame, but smaller frame than Frandell. Similar player, 200-foot game, responsible in all 3 zones, high compete level, and hockey IQ. So I kind of think it's down to Frandell or Denoyer, but I don't like the idea. I don't look bad on the idea of going after somebody big like Porter Martone.
Wayne, I think when it comes down to the talent on the ice, period, any coach will say the same. I think you're right there, Wayne, but I do think great coaches put their players in position to succeed, and at some point you need that too. I'm gonna let you pick here between Kyle's couple of. He's got a boatload of questions, but you want to go prospect? You want to go a package for JJ Peterka? Which one do you want to go?
Let's go the Peterka route, because I like where we're going here.
What does the package look like to acquire a player like JJ Peterka?
All right, so what are the chances, first of all, the Hawks trading out of the 3 spot? I give it less than 50% chance, maybe 25 to 30% chance. If they're not enamored with their choices between Frandell and Denoyer at 3, maybe they consider dropping down a few slots, and they pick up an impactful prospect and an NHL player who's young, like JJ Peterka. So what could that package look like? Well, Buffalo has the 9th overall pick. They would package Peterka and the 9th overall pick. The Blackhawks would give them the number 3 pick. I think you'd also have to have another sweetener thrown into the deal as well from the Blackhawks perspective. I don't think you would get Porter Martone at 9. That would be my concern, that you're dropping too far from 3 to 9. But you might get a guy like Roger McQueen, who's 6'5", a 200-pound center who had some injury issues last year, plays a really heavy game. You don't see a lot of 6'5" centers in the National Hockey League. They're tough to come by. So, maybe you go to that organizational depth chart and you say to yourself, we do lack in size and we can drop down a little bit. We might drop down a little bit and get Martone. We probably could get Roger McQueen there. And we're going to get JJ Peterka at age 23, 24, assuming we're going to sign him to an extension because he's a restricted free agent. All of a sudden, you have brought in a known quantity in Peterka and a organizational need in McQueen or Martone. And so now you've checked 2 boxes, dropping a few slots in the draft. It's an idea out there. I don't give it a ton of chances of happening, a huge percentage of happening. I would say it might be around 20%.
See, Kyle's a big fan, Nick. This is what I'm telling you, man. Kyle's been scouting the draft for months, and that's why you're on the show. And obviously, you're a friend of mine, so I'd care more about that. There's all kinds of questions. PB, you got time for a couple more before we spring you here?
Yeah, sure.
I got to introduce you to Godfather. Godfather is a decades long, and I say 50-plus year Chicago fan, and every day takes a shot at Tommy Nichols, as he likes to call him, Tom Ricketts. So by bringing the Hawks into it, and Pat already discussed this, I just wanted to introduce you to Godfather. He wants to know, are they going to pull a Ricketts and break even, or are they going to spend some this summer? We talked about, are they going to spend big? You said the free agency pool is not full of a ton of big fish.
They've always spent. They've always spent to the top of the cap. They have not been bottom feeders in the cap. They've got $30 million in cap space going into this offseason. Bedard could be up for an extension after July 1st. You could sign him to an extension. Considering the year he had last year, it might be advantageous for the Blackhawks to consider that. But to compare Ricketts and first of all, it's hard to compare a league that doesn't have a salary cap but has a luxury tax, and a league that has had a hard cap and a cap that really hasn't moved much until this year. Now, this is where things are getting interesting because it goes to 95.5 this year. It goes up another $4 to $5 million next year, and another $5 million on top of that. So the strength of the Blackhawks right now of having all this cap space, and the problem they used to have when they were winning cups left and right was the cap was staying flat or it was going up $1 million, $1.5 million. That barely covers one player's bump in salary. When you win championships, everybody gets overpaid. Now, the teams that are up against the cap, they're getting a little more breathing room because the NHL has started to make money, and they're giving that opportunity to increase the cap dramatically. So, look, they're going to spend, but they're not going to be foolish and overspend. Like, I'm sure they would wrestle with the idea of spending $14 million a year on Mitch Marner when their window truly to win is not going to open up for 3 more years. But to that, I say, well, look where you are in the standings. Look at how many opportunities you get to grab a 100-point player in this league. They never become available, available. And if you truly want to see what you have in Connor Bedard, take we got to surround him with talent out of the equation. You're surrounding him with talent. He's a Selke award-winning or finalist type of player who has played with elite players like Austin Matthews and put up gigantuan points. So, and if I can make a case that a player can be a part of a championship mix when that window opens, and I certainly could at age 31, I could say that Mitch Marner would be, in his prime still. Look at the teams that are in the Stanley Cup Finals. Their average age is 27 to 32, 33. Look at the Hawks championships. They weren't 19 and 22-year-olds winning championships. They were littered with the Hosses and the Brian Campbells and
the Maddens and all these role players.
And so we're going to see here, how you line up your talent age-wise, window opening. But I just think this opportunity doesn't come along very often. Again, I don't give it a lot of chance because there are going to be so many suitors, Guff. And if you're Marner, even if you're willing to take a bridge deal, so then you're gambling on yourself that you're going to continue to put up 100 points a year, and then you're going to ask for an extension in 4 years or go on the market again. If you're at a bad team that's just getting into the playoffs, you've lost yourself several $1 million a year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, a couple more, guys. I know we're not going to get to all of them. I appreciate Pat's time, obviously, and we don't want to take it for granted. There's a lot of questions that are double dipping, triple dipping. Some of you are coming in late to the show, which is fine. We answered a lot about the draft, the coaching staff, the free agent market, trades, etc. So if those are your questions, and Clyde, I'm not ignoring you, my man. I know every day you think I do. I'm not ignoring you. Your question was answered when we discussed who the Hawks were looking for at 3. I'm going to give you a combo question from 2 different people here because I think Connor Bedard has to be the topic that we kind of finish up on here. And Kyle wants to know, and don't answer just yet, combine this one with, does Bedard stay at center? Or does he move to wing this upcoming season? And then I got to find this other one. Wayne, to me, Bedard did not look like a generational player last year. Do you think with the right combination, the best is yet to come? So do you see him moving off center? And look, the kid's what, 20? Is that what he's going to be? 20 years
20
old?
next month, 20 in July.
He's 19 flipping years
19.
old. And that's where I'm talking about the impatience. I'm impatient. You're impatient. You've been doing this for a long time. And you're sick of getting on there every day and talking about, well, it was 5-2 the other way, but gosh, things look good. No one wants to do it anymore. But where do you see the Bedard mix here now in year 3 with the new coaching staff?
Look, I get the debate about Bedard. To Wayne's question, did he look like a generational player last year? No, I don't think he did. But if you look at his numbers and you stack them up against if you stack him up against Nathan MacKinnon, his numbers the first 2 years dwarf what Nathan MacKinnon is a top 5 player in this league. Do I think with the better line combination, we would see more output? Absolutely. Do we need to see improvement from Connor Bedard? Yes. He's got to find another gear skating wise. This team has prided itself on drafting fast players. Now, that's something Connor is never going to be. He's never going to be mistaken for Connor McDavid. But can he find another gear? Can he be a Kucherov type of player and possibly move to wing and steal pucks and keep plays alive? What I saw too much of in the first 2 seasons with Connor Bedard are hero plays, right? Carries the puck in the blue line, trying to make a play that he's made thousands of times at levels far below the National Hockey League. And usually it's hard sometimes to coach that out of a player, but it has to happen, right? And we look at it in football. The windows that were open when Caleb was at USC are not open in the National Football League. Same thing goes in every league for every sport. And you got to make that adjustment. I was talking to one of the older players on the Blackhawks, and I'm like, so what do you say to Connor? He goes, look, I pointed out to him. I say, you can't do that. And he goes, and the response that he gets from Bedard time to time is, yes, I can. I've made that play 100 times. And he goes, but you didn't there. And when you don't do that and do it repeatedly, you're going to hear from me. So got to take the hero plays out of it. You got to live to fight another day. You can't score on every shift. You got to get a little bit faster. And you got to get some talent around you. I think there's plenty there. And the willingness that he has, there's so much, when we talk about the development of Caleb Williams or whatever, how much of it comes down on the personal player and what they're willing to do in the off season or in season to take that step. That's where I think I have no question that Connor Bedard is the type of individual that wants to be that generational player that he's been labeled as. And he will do whatever it takes to get to that level, including passing on going to the Worlds and playing with his hockey hero, Sidney Crosby, and dedicating himself back in British Columbia at finding another gear skating wise and improving in that area of his game. So I think there's still so much upside, so much forward that we have to look, so much we have to look forward to when we consider Connor Bedard. But I would say the first 2 years, he won Rookie of the Year and he put up really good numbers on a bad team last year. And you compare him to other number 1 overall picks, and he slots in right in the middle of where they are.
Yeah, I mean, just outstanding stuff from Pat. I will finish it off with one last question. Give me one bold prediction prior to the Hawks reporting to training camp, whether it's they trade the 3 pick, they sign Marner, et cetera. Give me one bold, and if your bold prediction is they make the pick and they this is who they got, that could be a bold prediction too.
All right. I don't think this is a bold prediction. I'll say they're going to take Anton Frondell at number 3. But my bold prediction is they will offer sheet a player. And if you don't know what offer sheeting is, players like a JJ Peterka, who's a restricted free agent, you can go out there and make an offer. The Sabres have a chance to match that. If they don't match it, depending on the AAV value of what you have offered, you have to give up compensation for that. So I think this offseason, the Blackhawks will be in the offer sheet business. And we saw last year St. Louis be very successful in that. And it takes, here's what it does. It takes the draft and forwards it about 4 years. You're getting a player at the end of their rookie deal. You already have a sample size of how that player is doing. And you may have more cap room to pay that player than the team that drafted him. And so it's a way to have a little less risk. But the thing that hurts is it's going to cost you more. Right now, that's not a problem for the Blackhawks.
You can catch them on CHSN. I assume you guys are live on draft night.
We will on our the lead show. We will have a coverage from Los Angeles. It's a decentralized draft this year. This is something they never do other than the COVID year, where all the war rooms are going to be back in their 32 cities, and they'll just have the representatives and the prospects in Los Angeles. So there could be more wheeling and dealing because you don't have team A, B, and C 2 feet away from you.
Yeah. And
you're able to, in your war room, conduct some trade proposals.
He's all over the place. He's on CHSN. Check him out on the Blackhawks Breakaway podcast with our old friend Charlie Romeliotis. He's on ESPN with Barstool Chief, the hockey show. Pat, love you, brother. You're a great friend of mine, and I'm so happy you came on. I know we didn't get to all of them. But to know that there's an appetite for hockey in this town in the middle of summer, I think should make all of us excited. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be on in July if they make a splash with free agency. We'll make a date, a Hooters lunch hour date for that.
That's a deal. I mean, Swayze, this is like, I'm getting all of these comments. This has been awesome. Wish the show was an hour long. There was one that said, wish it was 2 hours long. Thanks, Pat. Come back soon.
Whoa.
Yeah. Hey, we're a growing company here. I only have so many things to offer. I got a t-shirt. I mean, that's what I got. Love you, buddy.
All right. Love you too, man. Say hi to Cap for me.
All right. Pat Boyle, the great Pat Boyle, longtime Blackhawks pre- and post-game host with us at NBC Sports Chicago, currently at CHSN. And just a great friend of mine. I've known him since 2004, and we go back. When you start knowing your families and it's not about work anymore, and you know about your kids and your kids' kids, and you're going to weddings and funerals and stuff, that's when you know your brothers, and he's a great friend of mine. So there isn't a little bit of an apology. Yeah, I'm with Jess. Hope something exciting happens in July. Me too. I did not, Clyde, you asked a question specifically about the number 3 pick. I'm not going to ask the same question when we have him for what we have him. So great stuff there, guys. I appreciate all your questions. You know that I do a really good job of trying to get to everybody, and tried to do that the best I could. I try to combine some. Kyle, I know my guy Phil, you guys had boatloads of questions. We will keep on doing stuff like this. You guys, you want to go topics? Let's give me topics. We'll get guests. It's all brought to you by Hooters, originalhooters.com. Find one of the 11 Chicagoland locations here. So you, the blueberry lemonade on a day like this, give it to me, please. The blueberry puree with the bullet bourbon on a refreshing day. Summer officially kicks off on Saturday, the summer solstice on Saturday. I say it's already kicked off. It's hot. The rain's gone in Chicago. Here comes the heat wave. Go to Hooters, get the tender tacos, get the Big Daddy mugs full of the Michelob Ultra Slim Figure, guys. The summer ale from Sam Adams, the Big Kona Wave, and of course the Mango Cart. Really good stuff. But you think I'm getting out of here without giving you my bet of the day? Because, folks, we finally got off the schneid last night, and thank God we did. I wish I could make a Blackhawks bet. I'm all juiced up about the Blackhawks now. It's good to be juiced about about hockey. The Phillies took care of us. We're off the schneid. We're going Oklahoma City Thunder tonight. This stuff about Halliburton, is he going to play? Is he not? It's the great theater of the NBA. I feel like this line should be like 8.5. I do. I know the Pacers play well at home. Their backs are a bit. It's win or go home now. I think the Thunder get it done tonight. I do. I think the Thunder kind of pull a Panthers and just go out there and get up big. Halliburton gives you what he can. I don't think he's even close to being 60%. At 6, I'm going to ride it. I'm laying the 6 on the Thunder. I almost went Phillies again in the pitching market, but I'm going to try to stay hot. We're back over 500. Let's get to 2-2 on the week and start a winning streak here. Oklahoma City -6. Look at all of the appreciate you, David. Absolutely. Never forget about the Northwest Indiana Hooters. Jess, don't worry. You did a great job. Go enjoy your vacation. Trust me, the second I get off here, I'm going into hiding for something. Trade number 3 for a proven young player. Brian, thanks for hopping on. Kyle, have a great day, everyone. Go Cubs and Sox. Come on, Southside. Take both from those Deadbirds. Sox have a doubleheader. It's starting right now. Cubs are at Wrigley against the Brewers. We're back to baseball. Great day ahead. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. It's all brought to you by Hooters. Thank you guys so much for your suggestions about getting Pat on the podcast or on the lunch hour, because I think it was great. And it was a trial, and I think we do this again when we have the topics to do it. Pat's going to come back. He said the Hawks make a move. He comes back. Appreciate you. Enjoy the day. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll wrap things up. We'll wrap the week up down south. We can play the game tomorrow. I'm going to show you some of the things we've done here on vacation, and we're going to play the game. Where is Guff? I don't think one of you will get the answer. That's my tease. It's all brought to you by Hooters, originalhooters.com. Ordered at hooters.com for takeout. Love you all. See you tomorrow. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great day. Do it again on Friday.